Monaco. Sure, you've heard of it, but you only know the secrets they allow you to learn. The yacht-lined harbour photographs, the casino entrance shots, the carefully curated Instagram moments of champagne toasts against Mediterranean sunsets. All of it exists precisely so you'll believe that's the real Monaco. It isn't, and when darkness falls, something shifts. The tourist performance ends and an entirely different principality emerges, one that operates on frequencies cameras never capture and guidebooks never mention because the people who actually live this life have no interest in explaining it to those who wouldn't understand anyway. You see, what happens after midnight in Monaco is a ballet of invisible hierarchies where genuine players and expensive spectators occupy the same physical spaces while inhabiting completely different realities. Thus, in today's episode of Luxury Travel, we expose what Monaco's nightlife actually becomes when the tourists leave and the cameras stop rolling, revealing an after-dark world that's been hiding in plain sight, protected by your willingness to believe the fantasy they're selling ends at the entrance. Monaco's nightclubs advertise bottle service starting at €450. Anyone believing these numbers might also think luxury watches actually cost the prices printed on those little tags in the shop windows. The published rates? Pure theatre. They exist to maintain the comforting fiction that ordinary wealthy people, not obscenely, ridiculously, almost offensively wealthy people, could theoretically afford a proper night out in the Principality without remortgaging properties. Then British entrepreneur Charles Shaker walked into the former Billionaire Club during Grand Prix weekend and spent £330,000 on champagne. On champagne, let that number settle for a moment while considering what else £330,000 might purchase in the real world outside Monaco's reality distortion field. This legendary purchase at Billionaire Club required 12 staff members to carry it through the venue like some sort of alcoholic royal procession. The Armand de Brignac Dynasty collection featured 9 different bottle sizes, from standard 750 milliliters up to the 30-liter Midas, which sounds less like a champagne bottle and more like a shipping container. 12 people carrying champagne through a nightclub. This actually happened. People witnessed it. Photographs exist. Seasonal pricing in Monaco operates on manipulation so brazen it makes airline yield management look like a charity operation. Peak season from May through September sees prices double or triple, though calling Monaco's winter period off-season is like calling a Bentley affordable transportation, technically words arranged in grammatically correct order, but bearing no relationship to reality. Formula One, Grand Prix weekend? That's when venues collectively lose their minds. €100 entry fees materialize. €50 cocktails appear on menus. VIP table packages at Amber Lounge hit €40,000 for diamond tier seating, presumably including champagne, dedicated hosts, and perhaps complimentary oxygen given the altitude of those prices. But here's where Monaco's game gets properly interesting. Beyond the already astronomical advertised prices lies an entire shadow economy of costs that never appear on any official documentation. Door staff suddenly can't locate confirmed reservations unless jogged by €200 to €500 per person in expediting fees, which sounds infinitely more sophisticated than legalized extortion at the velvet rope. Table positioning operates like medieval feudalism with designer sunglasses. Basic seating versus premium real estate? That'll be another €5,000 to €15,000, negotiated through concierge networks operating like MI6 with better expense accounts and considerably nicer offices. Regular patrons maintain staff relationships through seasonal bonuses ranging from €1,000 to €5,000 per visit. That's not tipping. That's purchasing loyalty through systematized financial cultivation that would make Renaissance patrons nod approvingly. These payments happen in cash, naturally, because credit card statements raise uncomfortable questions from accountants, business partners, or worse, spouses with banking access and functional memories. The system works brilliantly. Everyone involved understands that advertised prices exist for tourists to photograph before returning home confused about why their reservations somehow evaporated upon arrival. Money opens the conversation in Monaco. What happens next requires entirely different currencies measured in relationships, positioning, and knowing precisely which palms need greasing at which exact moments. But even unlimited budgets prove spectacularly worthless without understanding the access control systems that make Freemasonry look transparent and welcoming. Luxury concierge companies like Nightfall Group, AT Services, and Riviera Premium don't make simple restaurant reservations. These operations function less like hospitality services and more like intelligence agencies, except with better suits and considerably more expensive watches. They guarantee nightclub access through pre-negotiated arrangements that took years to cultivate, operating through relationship networks that would make Cold War spy masters weep with professional envy. The concierge system operates across 3 distinct tiers, each designed to separate the genuinely connected from the desperately aspirational trying to purchase sophistication through American Express. Public tier, basic bookings through standard channels, essentially the shop window display maintaining the fiction that Monaco's nightlife welcomes anyone with sufficient funds. Charming, really, in its complete dishonesty. VIP tier provides priority access through established relationships. This is where actual wealthy people begin their Monaco journey after discovering that public channels lead precisely nowhere except expensive disappointment and confused conversations with doctor staff. Ultra VIP tier guarantees entry during peak events, available exclusively through multi-year relationships spanning dozens of events and substantial ongoing investments that venues prefer calling relationship maintenance rather than what it actually resembles. Each major venue maintains multiple lists operating with intelligence clearance precision. The resident list favors Monaco's 9,000 Monegasque citizens because venues understand that keeping locals happy provides long-term business stability and, more importantly, political protection when regulatory issues arise. The yacht owner list recognizes that mooring vessels in Port Hercule demonstrates commitment beyond tourism, particularly when berth costs during Grand Prix weekend reach €128,000. That's not a typo. €128,000 to park a boat for a weekend. The Monaco Yacht Club's 2,500 members from 82 nationalities represent core clientele that venues cultivate through preferential access worth exponentially more than membership fees. Then there's the celebrity and billionaire list, which grants permanent status to high-profile individuals except when it doesn't, which happens frequently enough to keep famous people properly humble about their actual social standing. Venues regularly turn away celebrities who haven't maintained proper relationships with management. Fame without protocol, worthless in Monaco's ecosystem. Door selection involves evaluation criteria that would make Oxbridge admissions tutors seem lenient. Staff evaluate clothing quality, jewelry authenticity, and watch brands with gemologist-level expertise. They spot fake Rolexes from across streets with accuracy that's frankly unsettling. Groups of men without female companions face barriers so prohibitive they might as well attempt scaling the palace walls. Venues carefully engineer gender ratios like nightclub versions of university admissions committees obsessed with demographic balance. Training includes identifying genuine wealth indicators versus desperate status projection through rented accessories or discount designer attempts. DOC personnel maintain comprehensive databases tracking guest social connections, previous visits, and associated companions, essentially building intelligence files on Monaco's entire social ecosystem. The system occasionally produces spectacular celebrity rejection stories. Even A-list celebrities face diplomatic refusal when bypassing proper channels, though venues carefully manage these encounters to avoid viral social media disasters that could attract unwanted regulatory attention. Door staff receive specific training on rejecting celebrities diplomatically, essentially learning to communicate "absolutely not" while somehow making it sound like an exclusive privilege being declined. What makes Monaco's system particularly brilliant, or depending on perspective, absolutely infuriating, is how everything operates through unspoken mechanisms. Nothing gets written, no official policies exist. Everything happens through nods, calls, and strategic relationship management, leaving zero paper trails. This creates plausible deniability for venues facing discrimination accusations while maintaining absolute control over who enters their establishments and precisely where they sit once inside. The real challenge starts after somehow gaining entry, when unwritten social rules separate the genuinely elite from the recently wealthy, attempting to fake sophistication through expensive clothing and confident walking. Monaco criminalized tourist behavior in August 2025, with photography laws carrying fines up to €5,000 for taking a photograph. In locations tourists specifically visit to experience luxury they'll never actually afford to live. The new legislation prohibits filming or photographing individuals without consent in hotels and casinos under amended Penal Code Articles 308-2, 308-3, and 308-4. Distribution carries additional penalties that could fund decent used cars in countries where people drive reasonable vehicles. Venues employ surveillance including visible cameras, undercover personnel, and staff trained to identify discreet photography attempts with airport security-level paranoia. Security teams review footage to identify violations and pursue legal action even after guests leave premises, essentially functioning as photography police with extraordinary budgets and apparently unlimited free time. Initial violations trigger warnings and immediate device confiscation for review. Repeated offenses, ejection, legal prosecution, and permanent venue bans. High-profile violations can trigger broader Monaco entry restrictions, effectively banning individuals from the entire principality for Instagram-related crimes against discretion. Social media platforms get monitored for unauthorized Monaco content. Influencers receive particular scrutiny and occasional legal action for posting without proper consent from people appearing in backgrounds, which in Monaco includes approximately everyone within camera range. The irony that Monaco built its reputation on glamorous photographs but now criminalizes photography apparently bothers nobody in positions of authority. This surveillance state operates alongside dress codes, making London's stuffiest gentlemen's clubs seem relaxed. The Monte Carlo Casino's correct attire mandatory guideline means nothing specific until enforcement reveals exact rejection triggers. Tracksuits? Denied. Athletic wear? Denied. Flip-flops, shorts, sleeveless shirts? Triple denied with extreme prejudice. But subtle violations prove equally damaging. Cheap fabrics photographing poorly under casino lighting get spotted immediately. Overly trendy accessories signal nouveau riche status. Shoes not matching traditional luxury aesthetics trigger polite but firm rejection delivered with diplomatic precision. Staff training includes identifying quality indicators beyond basic requirements, essentially learning to spot discount retailers at 20 paces through fabric analysis and construction quality assessment. A €200 shirt from a chain store, rejected. An €800 piece from an established brand, doors open like magic. Women face different scrutiny focused on sophistication over formality. Evening wear expectations lean toward timeless elegance. Grace Kelly rather than whatever's currently trending on social media platforms populated by people who've never actually visited Monaco. Table positioning within venues operates on hierarchies requiring advanced degrees in social geography. At Jimmy's, Sass Cafe, and Twiga, prime positioning follows patterns making real estate agents weep with recognition. Tables with direct sea views command premiums not just for aesthetics, but for visibility to yacht owners in Port Hercule below, functioning as networking billboards visible from maritime vessels. Proximity to celebrity or royal seating areas costs 2 to 3 times standard rates, with negotiations handled exclusively through concierge networks. The most coveted positions allow discreet observation of high-profile guests while maintaining respectful distance, close enough to impress, far enough to avoid appearing desperate. Monaco's linguistic landscape reflects deeper hierarchies. French fluency provides immediate advantages, with staff offering insider information unavailable to English-only speakers, signaling temporary tourism rather than serious engagement. Russian presence creates distinct Russian nights featuring Russian DJs and cuisine, attracting oligarchs seeking familiar environments. Wealthy Middle Eastern families maintain substantial summer presence, with Arabic-speaking staff creating separate social ecosystems entirely. English serves as bridge language, but venues prioritize native French, Russian, or Arabic speakers for premium treatment. English-only guests receive professional service minus deeper social integration opportunities. Monaco operates nearly 600 police officers and over 1,000 cameras monitoring 2 square kilometers, essentially 1 camera per 2 residents, making Orwell's nightmares seem quaint. Undercover officers blend into crowds, appearing as wealthy guests while monitoring violations with facial recognition assistance, which explains incidents where tourists face questioning based solely on appearance matches to security databases maintained by authorities with apparently infinite storage capacity and concerning attention to detail. Surviving these unwritten rules merely qualifies someone for understanding Monaco's actual nightlife rhythm, which operates on migration patterns so predictable they could appear in wildlife documentaries. Monaco's billionaires follow migration patterns so predictable they could be tracked with wildlife GPS, except nobody dares because surveillance laws would bankrupt documentary filmmakers. 7 p.m. marks the dining circuit at establishments like Le Louis XV, Joël Robuchon, or Le Grill, where meals cost more than monthly rent in cities where normal humans live normal lives. These aren't simple dinner venues. They're social launching points where table positioning determines entire evening trajectories and potential networking opportunities worth exponentially more than the meals themselves. Business discussions unfold during champagne service. Million-dollar deals get sketched on napkins before disappearing into suit jacket pockets, presumably to be formalized later by lawyers who bill by the quarter hour. The transition hour arrives between 9 and 10:30 p.m., when post-dinner migration begins toward lounges like Bar America or Blue Gin's Terrace. This period involves strategic positioning for later venue access, with concierges facilitating arrangements through networks operating like military logistics operations. Yacht owners host brief receptions, essentially holding court while deciding which land-based venues deserve their presence later in the evening. The lounge phase peaks between 10:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. as premium cocktail venues reach maximum activity. Buddha Bar Monte Carlo and La Vigie become networking hubs where business cards exchange and social connections solidify into relationships worth maintaining across seasons. Primary club migration begins at 12:30 a.m. as crowds move toward Jimmy's, Sass Cafe and Twiga like salmon returning to spawning grounds, except wearing considerably more expensive clothing and significantly better jewelry. Entry during this window ensures optimal positioning before celebrity arrivals and peak energy periods, when truly interesting networking opportunities materialize between champagne bottles and strategic conversations. Peak performance arrives between 2 and 4 a.m. when nightclubs reach maximum capacity. Celebrity appearances, premium bottle service, and peak networking create the pinnacle of Monaco's social hierarchy visibility, when exclusive circles fully engage and actual business connections worth millions get established through introductions facilitated by mutual acquaintances. The after-party selection begins around 4 a.m. when elite groups split between continued nightclub activity and exclusive gatherings in private venues, yachts, or luxury residences that most tourists never knew existed. Access to these after-parties represents the highest social achievement in Monaco's ecosystem, graduating from public performance to private reality, where the actual elite conduct their social lives. Private gatherings host 20 to 50 carefully selected guests in apartments, penthouses, or private clubs, offering complete privacy unavailable in commercial venues, subject to surveillance and social media documentation. Yacht integration allows movement between land-based venues and maritime entertainment, with owners hosting rotating parties creating floating venues complementing shore establishments. Private party invitations circulate through established networks and direct relationships. No amount of money purchases entry without proper social credentials verified through years of appropriate behavior. Monaco's social calendar operates on seasonal variations, confusing anyone attempting to track patterns. Summer season from May through September coincides with yacht season and major cultural events when celebrity concentration requires crowd control measures. Winter transition from October through December shifts activity toward indoor venues and intimate settings, appealing to Monaco residents rather than international tourists seeking Instagram content. Major events like Monaco Grand Prix create intensive social periods with premium pricing and enhanced exclusivity. These require months of advanced planning through established relationships because last-minute access becomes virtually impossible, regardless of budget or determination. Celebrity seasonality follows distinct patterns. Formula One personalities dominate Grand Prix weekend. Hollywood celebrities frequent summer months. Business leaders maintain consistent winter presence for tax optimization strategies involving Monaco residency, while conducting actual business from more convenient locations. When morning arrives, Monaco operates sophisticated recovery systems, restoring guests to functional condition. Companies like Vitamin 4 and Dr. 4 provide mobile foyer therapy directly to yachts, villas, and hotels, delivering treatments from €890. These services offer energy boosting, detoxification, hydration, and recovery. Medically supervised hangover cures for people too important for hangovers that might interfere with morning business meetings. Privacy protocols ensure treatments get billed through shell companies, maintaining discretion while providing same-day service within hours of booking through concierge networks that never sleep and apparently never question what clients require at 6 a.m. The 6 a.m. exodus follows predictable patterns, beginning with private helicopters departing for Nice Airport and private jets, while super yachts leave Port Hercule, taking advantage of calm seas and reduced public attention that might compromise guest privacy or create awkward social media documentation. Monaco's after-dark world operates as carefully orchestrated theater, where astronomical costs represent merely admission to systems functioning through relationships, strategic positioning, and elaborate protocols that preserve the principality's reputation as the ultimate playground for people whose wealth has achieved escape velocity from normal financial gravity. And now we'd like to see you in the comments. Have you ever been to Monaco, or after watching the video, would you like to? We look forward to hearing from you below, and thanks for joining us for another episode. Cheers!